Hey everybody, it's Abby Glassenberg from Craft Industry Alliance. Hope you're doing really well this Wednesday. We are here for our member spotlight, which we do every Wednesday. And this week we're going to be talking with Tammy Silvers of Tamarinis. And she is a quilt pattern designer. She's also a teacher and a fabric designer. So I'm very excited to have Tammy join us in just a few minutes. I just wanted to give you a quick update about what's going on here at Craft Industry Alliance. We are going to be having an incredible webinar coming up in just about 2 weeks, taught by Ashley Brookshaw, who is an incredible award-winning community manager, and she's going to be teaching us all about how to create a community around your brand. So if you thought about maybe I should have a Facebook community or something like that, then this is the webinar for you, because Ashley knows how to get people to come to community, how to use your community best, how to get conversation going, how to keep it going, what to do when problems arise, and how really to leverage community to grow your business. So I think this is a topic we can all benefit from and relate to. And so I'm very excited about it. And it is coming up on Thursday. I think it's the 21st of April. So join us then. If you're a Craft Industry Alliance member, you can come to all of our webinars as part of your membership. And they're also recorded. So of course, if you can't make it at the time and date, then you can always go back and watch it later, which is another huge benefit. And Tammy, I see you are here. You can request to join. I'm not sure if I can... maybe I can have you join. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can just, cool, learn something new every day. So I just invited Tammy to join us. Hey Tammy, how are you?
I am great.
I love the quilt behind you. It's so pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here.
I know. I'm excited to talk with you too. And so I know that one of the types of fabrics that you love, and maybe it's in the quilt behind you, I can't 100% tell, is batik fabrics. And I also love batik fabrics. It is. Okay, cool. And I know you also work with Island Batik, the fabric company. And so I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about like what it is about batik fabrics that really, draws you in and intrigues you.
Oh my gosh. So that's such a tough question. It really is, because I'm going to admit I love almost every fabric. But what is it about batiks that particularly draws me in? Because I want to say it's the richness, it's the vibrancy, but I think folks that prefer print fabrics are going to say that same thing, right? I will say this though, one thing that batiks have that other types of fabric do not is that their base fabric is a higher thread count.
Yes. Yes, that's 100% true. I've worked with them before. Like I used to make birds with them, and it was like you would stuff the birds. I like to stuff them really hard, and none of the little fibers would escape between threads because the thread count of batiks is higher. And I don't know why that is.
Is much higher. So, and I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you authoritatively why batiks are done with a higher thread count. I would say with a higher thread count, you're going to get crisper lines, because if you think about it, if you have a looser thread count, when they go, because batiks are made, in case people don't know, it is a wax resist dye process. And typically you start with your, typically, not always, but you start with your lightest color and then you work up. From there, you go to your darker. So you're going to stamp whatever you want to stay the lightest with that wax. So I'm guessing, it's an educated guess, that a higher thread count is going to hold that wax in place versus a looser thread count might let the wax kind of dissipate and you're going to get blurrier lines. Now, part of what I think is the charm of batiks, at least for Island Batik, that's who I designed for, is that, and people may not know this, and people go, why are batiks so expensive? They're handmade, folks. Every yard that you make is handmade. It's not mass produced, by a machine. So the flip side of that is that they have that handmade quality. So like in the one behind me, yes, this is all purples. And these aren't really good examples, but they're overall designs. But if you have a motif, you're going to see some variances from section to section. And I think that's part of the charm of batik, is that handcrafted look.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're making something handmade, having fabrics that have been handmade just adds to I don't know, the richness, the specialness of the finished piece. So I think that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about Tamarinis. You do a lot of different things, all within quilting. You teach, you've taught on Craftsy, you teach Zoom classes now and in person. And then you also design patterns, and you also design fabric, as we mentioned. So you do a lot of different things. Kind of give us like an overall snapshot of what Tamarinis is all about.
So I believe that every individual is creative. People will say, no, I'm not, but they are. And what I like to think that I am doing is empowering people to express themselves through a variety of mediums, whether it's choosing a fabric that I designed, choosing one of my Orfil thread collections, or picking one of my patterns, right? And then they're putting their own unique spin on it. So I'm giving them that launching point, if you will, that place to start from whatever avenue they want to choose. And if I get to do that, if I get to inspire people, if I get to empower them, if I get to encourage them, it's a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you have like an underlying philosophy behind all of it, because that unifies all of it and ties it all together. So where did you learn to quilt? Did you learn how to quilt from your mom, or did you learn, when you were a kid, or did you learn as an adult, or how did this come to be that you became a quilter?
So it would be a charming story if I could say, oh, I've done it since a wee toddler, because my grandmother was a maker, my mother was a maker. But actually, I have to give credit to my sister-in-law. Back in 1991, when I started quilting, it's because she said, come take a quilt class with me. And I didn't want to, but I love her and I wanted to make her happy. So I did. And it was not an entirely successful adventure, but for whatever reason, I got that bug. And then there you go. That was the launching point. Yeah.
Do you remember like the first one that you made by yourself? So the one that, you make one in the class, then you come home and you're like, okay, that happened. And then there's that next one where you're like, I'm just going to go and do this myself.
So that was probably years later. I took a ton of classes, tried a lot of different things, because to me, that's one of the positive aspects of quilting, is there is something for everybody.
Yeah.
Traditional, miniature, giant, modern, retro, whatever. So I took a bunch of different classes, but the first quilt, I can remember the first quilt I designed myself.
Sure.
And it was done for a family member. And that's still, that little quilt, it's a tabletop, or still has a very special place in my heart. But that was very empowering, right? To once you start doing things on your own, you're like, yeah, I can do this. I got this. And maybe it was perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah, that step into the becoming a designer. And yeah, that's an exciting moment. And so how did your fabric design gig with Island Boutique come about? Did you have a relationship with them? Were you, buying their fabrics and making things and tagging them? Or how did you first kind of connect with them?
I connected with them. I started designing for them because early on in my design career, and I don't even remember how that happened specifically, but I started designing projects to support their existing lines. And I did that for years as a partner. I had a partnership originally, and then as an independent designer. So I had a strong relationship with them, and they reached out to me, which is super flattering.
Yeah,
right?
That's great.
Yeah.
But I think that gives people some sense of like, you can start your relationship in one way where you're, helping them basically create quilts and design quilts with their fabrics, and it can merge and morph over time and become something more.
I 100% agree. I think that's one of those, you hear this all the time, you never know what doors are going to open. Absolutely true. I do believe if you follow what is your passion, as long as that's the underlying goal, I think you're always going to be successful. But I think that people see that passion and they see that excitement, and that's going to draw people with like-minded goals. And I think that's some of what's happening. So
yeah. And I know you teach now on Zoom, and a lot of quilt teachers pivoted during the pandemic when, you know, they couldn't go in person to shops and to shows and conferences and things like that and teach. And so how did that go for you? Have you enjoyed teaching on Zoom? Is it going to be a permanent part of your, you know, sort of future repertoire, or are you just sort of eager to go back to in person, or what are you thinking about online teaching?
I'm going to do both. I love teaching in person. I don't think anything really is as immersive as that, but
Yeah.
I am absolutely going to keep the online teaching. The flexibility of it. I think it's flexible for me, certainly,
Right.
but it's so flexible for the students. How awesome is it to be in your own creative
studio,
space?
right.
Right, where you have everything that you want and no line at the bathroom, and right,
or at the
and
iron, you've got everything you need. Yeah,
you don't have to schlep everything
right.
anyway. You forget something or change your mind midstream.
Yeah,
So I think there are positives for that. And I don't know about you, but I'm height challenged. So in a live class, right, the tall people definitely have the advantage. And in an online class, everybody has that upfront in-person view. So I think there's a lot of positives to it. So yes,
yeah.
absolutely going to keep the online as part of my teaching and lecturing repertoire.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great. It's a definite silver lining of the pandemic is that, you know, we tried something new for a lot of people, and now it's like something that we all really enjoy and see a lot of advantages to, and it's like a new income stream, and that's been such a cool thing to see. And then you've got a whole huge array of patterns, and you do a lot of different styles. You've got some modern patterns, you've got piece you've got a lot, you do a lot of different things. Do you have a favorite or one that's like a best seller that maybe, I don't know if you have any samples around or anything else that you wanted to show us, but tell us about some of the best ones, the favorites among
so you're right. I do have a lot, and it's because I don't have one specific. I've been asked about that, like, what's your niche? And it's like,
whatever I like.
Whatever I like at the whatever the fabric calls for. Sometimes the fabric just calls for it. So this one behind me, it is paper piece. And I do have my paper piecing patterns have been very popular with paper piecers, right? So that is one avenue that I almost always have a new paper piecing pattern every year. I have, I'll slide the ladder over. It'll be easier. And you can see kind of part of this. This is one of my guided improv patterns. So guided improv is like a happy marriage between improv piecing and traditional piecing. And you are only seeing part of these diamonds, but they're 40 inches long. Yeah. So you can actually, I'll slide some down. So see, you've got lovely sharp points.
Yeah.
They're not perfect. They're improv pieced, but they're 40 inches long. And so the guided improv is a whole nother avenue that, so those are two that I lean very heavily into.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. And you're on YouTube as well. So people can check out Tamarinis on YouTube. You're all over the place doing all kinds of things, just building this beautiful quilt business. So tell people a little bit about where they can go to buy a pattern, sign up for a workshop, check out the fabric, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So online, I am Tamarinis. So if you're looking for me anywhere online from my website, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on YouTube, it's Tamarinis, Tamarinis.
Perfect.
Yeah. And the website, tamarinis.com. So there you're going to see all of my patterns. And I do want to say, folks, I'm doing a quilt along with Kate Colleran that is starting April 21st. Yeah. So it's free to join. Yeah. Free to join. So you can sign up there on the website. It's going to be spectacular. I am so excited.
Tell us a little bit about the quilt, or can you?
I would love to. I wish I had it. I would have totally had it up here, but it's at Island Boutique getting its glamour shots right now.
Oh, nice.
But it is a 30 block quilt. We designed it as a block of the month. So for the quilt along for 10 weeks, we're going to introduce 3 blocks per week, and they're loosely grouped by technique. So we're going to focus on a technique per week for 10 weeks. They're all star blocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we offer 3 different sizes. So yeah, like I said, I am so excited about it.
Yeah, and that's coming up April. You said April 21st is the start.
April 21st is
Okay.
the start of the quilt along. Yep.
Wonderful. That's great, Tammy. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a Craft Industry Alliance member. It was great to drop in and see all of your beautiful things and learn about your business.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks everybody who came. See you next week. Bye.